revelation last year. He basically just showed everyone what he could do, improved his shooting, improved his passing, his defense. I mean, there wasn't a part of his game that he didn't make a dramatic improvement upon outside of, I guess, his free throw shooting if you want to pick nits. But I mean, he was so much better as a sophomore than he was as a rookie. If he has that sort of improvement in his third year, I mean, this team is absolutely a playoff team, but I don't quite see it with them, Jason.
I know it's so tough. I mean, this team is really just banking on growth spurts from Bagley, Fox, Hield. I'm not talking about size, I'm talking about NBA experience. Maybe Fox can sneak onto the All-Star team. Bagley can play in the Rising Stars Challenge again, and this team could take a huge leap. But as far as ceilings and floors are concerned, I mean, the ceiling I have pegged for them is somehow sneaking in as the eighth seed. Maybe a couple teams suffer injuries, miss the playoffs. The Spurs aren't good. The Pelicans aren't good. And they just sneak in as the eighth seed. I don't see them winning a round, but I could see them sneaking in as their absolute ceiling. Do you concur?
I absolutely do, because I think that if Fox turns into, and I want to be very careful with the way that I say this, the best pure point guard in the league. He's not in the Curry and Harden class, but those guys are more of combo guards. If he gets in the Damian Lillard range of guys, I mean, which it's crazy to say, but I don't think that is impossible. I think he's that good. If he's to get into that conversation where he becomes that dynamic of a point guard, and a guy who can really impact the game on both ends, yeah, absolutely, they could compete for that bottom tier playoff spot. But, Jason, unless he does that, I think they end up exactly where they did last year. I think their floor, if they have an injury, is maybe mid-30s, but I think they're going to just end up right back where they were before, right about the same. I mean, if you had to ask me, gun to my head, I think they'll win probably 38, 39 games like they did last year.
Can you stop sticking guns to heads, Ben? You're a peaceful guy. You live in Pittsburgh, for crying out loud. Stop it, okay? We're gonna do super soakers to heads, okay? It's 2019. We can't be doing guns to heads.
What about you, Jason? What do you think the floor of this team is?
Well, super soaker to head, I think their floor is 35 to 37 wins and missing the postseason. I mean, we know how stacked the West is. They're not the Grizzlies, but, you know, they're going to be middle of the road, no man's land here. And their over-under is 38.5, and given everything we just said, I mean, it's pretty safe to take the under here, kids.
Yeah, I would agree. But I actually think that the last team in this division is actually kind of interesting. This was your sleeper team a year ago, which are the Phoenix Suns.
I'm still paying for that.
I think you were just a year ahead of your time, Jason, because I think this might be the year that the Suns make some movement forward finally. Devin Booker should be healthy this year. I thought DeAndre Ayton might have been one of the more overlooked rookies. I mean, he had really, his second half was really, really good. And I think people didn't even realize. I mean, does anyone realize that DeAndre Ayton averaged 16 and 10 last year, Jason, as a rookie? I mean, there's not many guys who have done that, and he did it pretty effortlessly. I think he'll be better this year. I think that they, weirdly, as much as people criticize them, I think they actually put together a little bit more of a logical team this year. I think the pieces sort of make sense together in a way that they didn't last year. I'm actually a little bit intrigued by this Phoenix team, Jason. What say you?
So I expect Ayton to take a step forward coming into his second year in the league. I think Mikal Bridges is also another guy that's going to take a step forward. But they still have their constant, and that's Devin Booker, who got a mega deal a couple of years ago and has just been stuck in the mud with this Phoenix front office that had no idea what the hell they were doing. But they finally have the right coach in there. And then they went to the store. That store was free agency, and they got Devin Booker, a shiny new player to share the backcourt with, and that's Ricky Rubio. Now, when we broke down free agency, this was one of your more underrated deals. I mean, how do you see Rubio fitting in next to Booker in the backcourt and really kind of trying to take this Suns team to the next level, and the next level means being competitive?
I don't know if there's a player who fits better with Devin Booker than Ricky Rubio. I think he is perfect there. I mean, they might have gotten him a little bit late in his career, I mean, he is 28, but he's an old 28, so to speak, Jason. He's had a lot of miles. He's been playing for a very, very long time. This is a guy who was playing in Spain and was really one of the better players in Spain when he was about 16. So I think that's going to be tough, but one of the things that he did do in the last couple years is develop his shot. He can hit a standstill three. Still not great, but he can do it. Very good defender, great with the ball in his hands, and I think he's going to get Devin Booker some really, really good looks. And I think in general, he's just going to be great for this team with the way that he plays. I think he really does a great job of keeping the ball moving. The Suns desperately needed that. And honestly, Jason, just looking at this lineup and the roster they have, it's not that bad. I mean, I know it's the Suns, but let me just read you off their starting lineup, Jason. They have Ricky Rubio, Devin Booker. I'm going to say Mikal Bridges because I think he'll end up winning the starting three job. Dario Saric and DeAndre Ayton. I mean, that's solid, Jason. I mean, that's not like fourth seed in the playoffs solid, but that's a good team. Dario Saric is a good player. Mikal Bridges was a very underrated rookie as well. I mean, I think they have a decent team. I mean, I think that if this wasn't the Suns, people would be talking about them as a team that could get around 500, similar to what the Kings did a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I cannot drink the Suns Kool-Aid 2 years in a row. Well, I think they have some exciting pieces, and I think they'll compete. I mean, my sleeper teams are the Hawks and the Pelicans, I think, in their respective conferences. I'm not drinking the Phoenix Kool-Aid again, even if they leave me stuck in the desert with no way to hydrate. I don't see it, man. I mean, I think they'll be fun to watch. They'll be a league pass team for sure, but I think we'll have a couple of huge years individually from Booker, from Ayton, from Bridges, maybe from Saric. I think Diallo is another guy in there who could take a step forward, but I think they're a year away from being a year away. I would still pick the Kings over them as far as the young core, but hey, maybe if I pick the Suns to suck instead of picking them to improve, maybe they'll actually surprise me and do well this year. So I'm going to call myself the anti-Sun because when I picked them to do well, they did really bad. And I'm going to pick them to do crappy, and I think that'll help.
I think they're a zigzag team that they kind of zig when people think they're zagging, and I just like them. I like that they last year their head coach just really wasn't great, and I kind of like Monty Williams. I think he might be a decent coach. Um, we saw him a little bit with the Hornets and the Hornets with the Pelicans, and he was okay. I mean, I don't think he's great, but I think they kind of just need okay right now. They need kind of a normal stabilizing presence. I like him. So let's look at the ceiling for this team, Jason. I'm not going to go crazy and say that they can make the playoffs, but I think like the Kings, they could win 35, 38, not quite 40, but approach 500. I think they're a team that could approach 500, Jason. Is that crazy?
No, because I'm around the same. I say 35 wins, but no shot at the playoffs. I mean, the West is an absolute juggernaut this year, and they're not there right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that if we look at the floor, yes, they could fall apart as they do. I don't know if I see the floor as low as some other people do, but the truth is that they don't really have to drop all that far to be terrible in the West, Jason, because when you look, there's just not that many bad teams in the West. I mean, ultimately, who are they really going to be above? I mean, I think you could make the case that they're clearly better than the Grizzlies, and maybe you say even if they're bad, they'll be better than the Thunder if the Thunder embrace the tank, but they could absolutely be the 14th worst team or 14th best team, excuse me, in the West and still not be terrible.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that as far as their over-under is concerned, it's set real low. It's at 27.5. So we're not sitting here killing the Suns fans, okay? Because I'm going to say if you're a betting man, take the over for sure because the Suns are going to be fun. I think we're going to see a lot of league pass alerts.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to make the point, too. The 14th worst team in the conference last year, Jason, how many games did they win in the Western Conference last year? Here's a quiz for you.
In the West, I'm going to go with 12.
Bold choice, Cotton. Let's see how that turns out for you. 33 games, which honestly, if you look at the teams that were there in the Pelicans and the Mavericks, if those teams had actually turned on, they would have been playoff teams in the Eastern Conference. So again, Suns fans, we're not knocking the Suns. They could win 35 games and be the 14th seed. So let's get to their over/under. As you mentioned, Jason, it seems comically low to me. They're at 27.5. I can't see myself taking the under. I have to go over. I like this team. I think that they're much better than people are giving them credit for.
Yeah, no, I'm taking the over too. Like I said, they'll be fun. League Pass, Lob City reincarnated, but they don't have enough. Let them go into next year's draft class, get another ace to pair alongside Ayton and Booker and Bridges, and then we'll see where we're at this time next year with the Suns. They'll be competitive, but they're not ready.
Absolutely, and I think that does it, Jason. We have one more preview for next week, but anything final for the people before we go and we take it to the Atlantic next week?
Oh, I'm so excited, man. It is going to be an absolute movie. We finally get to talk Nets. We get to talk Knicks, Sixers, Celtics, Raptors. I mean, we could be seeing half the Eastern Conference playoff teams from this division. So buckle up, get ready, because you have one more preview to listen to after this. And then guess what, Ben? It's showtime. So I'm so ready for this regular season to start.
And speaking of showtime, folks, remember to subscribe, rate, and review our show. And 5 stars only, please. I know, Jason, you were going to say it. I stole your thunder, but we love the support everyone's been giving us. Keep listening. Give us some ideas if you have anything you want us to talk about during the regular season. And Jason, before we go, you got any final thoughts for the people?
Enjoy the MLB playoffs and go Yankees. ALCS bound, baby.